Welcome to IlliniGuys Halftime Live. Sorry there, folks. It is always an adventure when you're using computers to see what's going to work and what's not going to work. Ked, Illinois is at least early on avoiding the fate of some other teams in the Big Ten when they go on the road, like Purdue. What are your thoughts here at the half against an Illinois team that is facing a pretty determined Northwestern team?
Well, I haven't done this in a while, but the officiating makes me sick. I don't like it. I don't. And you knew this was coming because I'm sure you saw my tweet. What I don't like is, okay, the Big Ten has a terrible look to begin with. There are a lot of recruits, and I've never said this publicly, but I'm irritated. I'm going to say it tonight. They don't like the Big Ten because of the style of play. Keith Kimball is an outstanding official to me. I've watched him officiate tons of non-conference games this season. He has never swallowed his whistle until tonight. I don't understand that. This is a football game. If Vicic can't even come close to getting to the post, then you come down the court and Kylan Boswell plays defense like a post player, so then you call a foul. It's ugly basketball to me. I would much rather see the non-conference game, Illinois win enough games to get in the tournament and the tournament. I'm sick of watching this because if Illinois averages 80 points a game, Mike, and they have 27 right now. That's not a fluke, and it's not that they're playing bad offense. It's a football game, and I'm not a fan of it. Do you have to adjust? Yes, but if that's what the Big Ten is going to be like, yuck.
Well, and this is what you and I have talked about. So often is you've got this darn the way this thing is reffed. It just sucks, and I think it makes it painful for both teams, to be honest with you. I felt like the refs are relatively balanced here. The foul calls are pretty close. The free throws are pretty close, but you're playing that grab, drag, hold crap. And there's a reason why when you look at the number of top 25 players who are playing in the SEC, there's a reason why it's so high, because their refereeing may not be better, but they don't let the WWE stuff go on all day.
No, and Mike, you know how you just named or mentioned the fouls. Brad Underwood went off at the 8-minute mark, and then they start sneezing and they start calling foul every time. It didn't have to be that way. Yeah. You know what? I don't need, because the whole game changed. Right after that 8-minute mark, the whole game changed because now everything is a foul. I don't care about it being one way or the other. I'm not a guy saying at the end of the game one team benefited because it's more than the other. The style of play is different. Truthfully, I don't expect to see Illinois shoot a lot of free throws because they shoot a lot of threes. So I don't need to be this guy say, well, this team shot more free throws. Call a foul, man. This is awful. I just don't like seeing it, and it just sets a bitter taste in my mouth because I look at this team and people are going to say, well, they're a finesse team. No, they're not. Vicic is extremely effective in the post. I think he had a dunk, and I think that's it. So, you know what, Tarhead, you're right. I saw the Penn State and Purdue game yesterday, and they swallowed their whistles. This is why the Big Ten, people say they haven't won a national title since 2000. The SEC and the ACC, they don't play like that. The style of play is different. And if the game has changed, they have to get up with the times. And I don't know how the West Coast teams are going to adapt to that because that's what you're going to see.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before, and it's interesting strategy that the Big Ten tries to use and how they ask their referees to call these games. And you and I I'm a big believer in, you call a few things early so that guys don't get too carried away, and then the rest of the game is good. And you just can't let it go crazy and then try to put the screws in. Let's talk individually. I do think Vicic, what a pass to Will Riley.
That's going to be a highlight. I hope they win the game so we can see it on ESPN and FS1 and Big Ten Network. That was a great pass. And Mike, I was going to change the gears anyway because we have another half to go. But from an individual play, Will Riley is coming out like a man possessed right now. He's playing really, really well. Vicic is he is who he is. He's a quiet guy that nobody likes to talk about. We talk about all this NBA stuff with Kasparis and Will Riley, but Vicic just goes out there and just dominates. He does his job. here he is right now with 11 points and 3 rebounds, and he don't have a block, but I thought he had a block. The only block came from Ben Rickhouse. But this is an ugly game, but do what you need to do to win ugly. But I don't like this. And I'll tell you another guy that he's 1 for 4, but his confidence is Kylan Boswell. I like what he looks like. I think Draymond Gibbs Longhorn got kind of robbed a little bit with one of his fouls. I thought he gave good energy. I wish he could have saw the floor a little bit more, because this is the kind of game where he doesn't back down from. But you know what? They're going to go with it and roll with it. So I guess we're going to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. This is one of those things. I also think looking in here, Kasparis is going to have to play through some contact, and he has a tendency to get hit and then look at the referee as if like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And I do think he's just got to go. You know what? You got to go for the score. Do whatever you can, and if the ref calls a foul afterward, that's fine. But don't anticipate the foul and then start looking away before the play's even over.
Well, I'll tell you what, the way the Big Ten officials are, and I don't care, I hope they can look at this and show it to them at halftime. Once you get a reputation, they're not going to call anything. Coleman Hawkins went through that, and then he started getting calls as well. So if he's going to start looking for calls like that, he won't get them. And I'll tell you another guy, and this is how coaching matters. Early in the season, when Will Wiley would shoot a three, he would kind of kick his legs out. Coaches watch game film. They tell the officials before the game. I've not seen it called since. So they're going to do the same thing with Kasparis. They know he's flopping. He's a good free throw shooter, and he's bigger than most guards. Just go in and draw the foul. Quit avoiding contact and trying to scoop it up and hoping the shot goes in. Get the foul and get to the free throw line. He made a beautiful move in the paint, and then he threw it off the backboard, almost broke the backboard. Shoot the ball and expect to make it, because he got to the rim. From that standpoint, I like to see him become a lot better. He has 3 early turnovers early. I know I heard Robbie Hummel say he talked to Coach Underwood. He doesn't care. Turnovers matter to me. They're wasted possessions. And some of his turnovers, I think, are loose with the ball. Like I've always said, until he fixes it, I'm not going to change. People don't like it. Sorry, don't listen, but it is. I like to see him be tighter with the basketball. But on the flip side, this kid does rebound. I mean, he leads everybody in this game with 7 rebounds right now. So I give him credit for that. He will affect the game somehow if possible. And that's one way he is affecting the game.
Well, and look, Bruce Weber is a fantastic basketball coach, not a great recruiter. And he talked about it in the pregame show that you want to go ahead and get inside on Kasparis, and you want to get underneath him.
Who's been saying that? I've been saying that forever, Mike. Sorry.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're going to see people do until he proves he can adapt to it. I'm not saying he's playing poorly. I'm just saying that in the Big Ten, they're not going to call a foul that they would in an NCAA game or in a non-con game. So he's going to have to get used to guys going underneath him and hitting him in the body. He's going to have to learn to play through it.
Yeah, because I mean, even in non-conference games, I'm sitting here complaining about the officiating. They didn't call a non-conference game, and they're not going to call it now. What I want to see from him is growth. I want to see the same mistakes. I want to see him not be loose with the ball. There was one time that he just let the ball go out like 2 feet in front of him. A quick guard would have got the ball and would have went down the court and scored or got fouled or dunked the basketball. He has to start adjusting to that part of the game, in my personal opinion. I think if he gets to the basket, he is bigger than most guards he plays against. Just shoot over the top and just look to score or expect to get fouled. Just don't run away and avoid contact. This is not Europe. They're not going to call those fouls like that, especially in Big Ten play, which he can see. But this is his first game. It is his first Big Ten game, and he will learn from it, because I can assure you, he will adjust. Just like Will Wiley's adjust. Just like if Visage, he didn't need to adjust because he came out like he always does. And also, this is another guy, Mike, that, not flashy, but it was kind of nice to see Trey White come out to be effective a little bit. He didn't look timid like he always has either. I was glad to see him come out and do some things.
Yeah, and just for those people who are watching college football right now, UNLV held Genty to 3.3 yards a carry the last time they played, and it's 21-0 Boise State, and he's got 150 yards rushing. So midway through the third quarter, so I'm thinking that Boise State's going to be in the CFP, folks. So that'll be exciting. We are going to break as it's now the start of the second half, but we will be here live after the game to talk about it. And if we get lucky, Sturdy might be around as well, as he has been drawn away to the job of being an athletic director tonight. But we are looking to talk to him as he is watching the game with one eye. Kedrick, thanks for being on, and go Illini in the second half.
Thank you.